In this lesson, let's explore the symmetry command in T-Splines. First thing I'm going to do is go to our primitives here, and let's start with a box. I'm going to go ahead and draw it from the center, from 0. Just give it a little shape here, just like this. Let's turn on our T-Spline toolbar and hit the tab key so we're in box mode. I'm going to left click on the symmetry icon here. One thing to note is when you have a closed shape here, just like this, and you want to add symmetry on both sides, you know you want it to be perfect from this side, and this side needs to be exactly the same thing. If you know they are, you can just simply go to Discover. Next question is, are you axial or radial? We know it's an axial because it's only one specific mirror point going this direction. So I'm going to hit axial. Then it's going to ask you to select an edge. Select the edge you want to add symmetry to, and you'll see a green line. You always want to have a green line when you're working with symmetry. Let's go to the verts real quick, and let's move it from one end to the other side. Once you lose the green line, you are no longer working in symmetry. It's one major note when you're modeling, especially in T-Splines. Okay, then when I go to sub-D mode, you'll notice that it's perfectly mirrored to the other side. Let's go to the object mode and right click on symmetry to take off the green line. If I move this one here slightly to the inside so it's no longer mirrored and try to add symmetry, you'll notice that it will actually squeeze it in. So you always want to make sure that both sides are exactly the same, or it will force it to pull one side to copy the other. So one thing I like to do is if I have a model that's very complex and I know it's not 100% symmetrical before I add symmetry, is let's say this is the side I want to keep and I want it to apply on the other side. I simply go to the faces selection and select the entire left side and delete it. The one thing you could do now is select the object with the F key, go to symmetry and left click, go to add, axial, and start of symmetry plane. I'm just going to hit the F4 for 0. Pull up and hold the shift key, and you'll notice that it applies the green line, and this side is now on the other side. Perfectly symmetrical. Exactly what I want. And again, when you want to get out of symmetry, just right click and you are no longer in symmetry. Let's go ahead and build a torus. Make sure you're building it from 0. Just pull it out. There you go. Let's say I want to add radial symmetry. I'm going to select our torus, left click on symmetry, go to Discover, select radial, Next question will ask you root face. Just select this root here and just simply click the next one that you see. You'll notice it has equal amounts of green lines. I can now go to polygon mode, select this face. One good tip, if you ever want to pull out based on its normal, you'll notice that it is currently in C-plane mode. If I click on drag mode under the word C-plane, it's now on view. If I click again, we are in UV mode. You'll notice that the blue line is facing the normal of the face. Perfect if you want to extrude exactly the way the normal is facing. So if I go selecting the face and go to extrude, I can pull it out. I can go to the scale key, scale button, which is R. Scale it in just a tiny bit. Hit the enter key. Pull it out again. Hit enter, pull it out again. And let's scale it much smaller. Now when we hit the tab key, beautiful. It came out exactly to its normal and in perfect radial symmetry. Always be mindful when you're modeling, especially altering verts, that you always keep your eye on drag mode. Again, I always want to work with either UV, C-plane, or view mode. Okay, so by default, let's keep it at C-plane. Let's go ahead and delete this object. One final thing I want to show you. If I draw a box from center again, let's go to box mode and delete all the faces on the left side and pull some, let's pull these two verts in different areas slightly to the left, and I'll pull one slightly to the right. If I go to the front view, you'll notice that the verts are not on the y-axis or the z-axis. Scaling the verts to meet each other will not get it exactly on the line because it's almost impossible to scale it and move it. The one thing I like to do to solve it is, if I go back to the perspective menu, a simple trick to line it all up is if you go and select all the verts along the line you want it to mirror on, simply turn off your T-Spline toolbar, type in SCT PT for set point. We know we want to move it along the x-axis because this is the direction we want to squeeze it on straight. So x-axis is selected, everything else is turned off. Hit the OK button and it will ask you, where do you want it to snap to? I'm just going to hit the 0 and you'll notice that the verts are now lined up perfectly on the axis, giving me the ability to select our object, symmetry, add, axial, and when I hit the 0 key, we have perfect symmetry once again. Okay, in the next lesson, we will continue with the rest of the commands in T-Splines.